The Ferrari and Hamilton partnership appears to be experiencing an extremely challenging period as the seven-time world champion has reached an unwanted record for the first time in his extensive career. With the Maranello team still working to understand their current situation, might we witness significant alterations in the near future? And if that doesn't happen, could it trigger more confrontational attitudes from Lewis toward his race engineers? There's absolutely no doubt about it. Ferrari and Hamilton are certainly not in an ideal position at this moment, and reality speaks more powerfully than words. For the very first time in his Formula One journey, which began way back in 2007, Hamilton completed the opening 10 races without reaching the podium. True, he achieved 2 podiums in the sprint race formats, but in the standard racing structure, the recently obtained Ferrari has still failed to reach the top 3 positions, and this clearly shows that something is malfunctioning. Even Hamilton understands this better than anyone else. Ferrari will most likely face intense pressure from Hamilton to redirect their attention toward the upcoming regulations, and the period when Hamilton will get a fresh opportunity to compete against Leclerc from the beginning. It's reasonable to believe that Lewis is dissatisfied with the improvements being delivered by Ferrari, and beyond that, he's shocked that the press behaves as though improvements are being introduced for a specific race, Canada being the example here. When asked about his expectations regarding the new components introduced in Montreal, Lewis responded with extreme astonishment, stating that his team delivered 0 improvements, and they urgently require some to begin competing at the front. Overall, his frustration has reached extreme levels, and in Canada, we witnessed him being abandoned in an isolated position once more. Following a pit stop at an extremely questionable moment and attempting to advance with the fresh tires, Hamilton discovered himself competing against absolutely nobody. He also voiced his amazement to race engineer Adami, explaining that the strategy they selected is incorrect, and now he remains with nothing in this race. The circumstances were equally poor for Leclerc as well. The Monegasque racer was deprived of a possible podium battle due to the dubious strategy from his team. Expanding more on the frustration with Ferrari and how the team is obviously no longer competing for the Drivers' Championship, Hamilton stated, "There are numerous things I would love to discuss, but I cannot be overly transparent. There's considerable activity happening inside the organization. I aim to be a catalyst for transformation to guarantee the team accomplishes sustained success. I'm continually questioning the engineers, pressuring them. They respond, 'We have approached it this way,' and I answer, 'But what if we attempted something alternative?' I'm unsure why we have not introduced any improvements. I hope they come very quickly. We require numerous improvements. It's obvious we are no longer competing for the championship. We must concentrate on establishing the groundwork for next year. It's unfortunate to witness a driver of Hamilton's talent competing for 5th and 6th positions and failing to achieve a podium following 10 races in Formula One. Even Kimi Antonelli, the newcomer who took his place at Mercedes, managed to reach the podium and also secured a pole position in Miami. It's certainly doubtful whether Hamilton made the correct decision to transfer to the Maranello-based team. While the expectations for 2025 were not at the maximum possible level, we are presently observing some significant transformations within the internal groups of Ferrari, and the most apparent one is the interaction between Hamilton and his race engineer. While it has improved tremendously from their starting point in Race 1 in Australia, there remain numerous barriers that must be addressed. According to Lewis, he has an obligation to modify his approach and technique for the Ferrari 25, and the expectations for the Austrian Grand Prix have been additionally strengthened since he believes the vehicle will be somewhat more competitive there. Explaining more about the adjustment process and its impact on his performance, Hamilton stated, "I believe it's mainly just me adjusting, but I believe Montreal truly exposed the car's limitations, and I have never experienced a car with such severe understeer at reduced speed. In this location, it simply refuses to navigate through Turn 2 and Turn 10, so yes, certainly not my most preferred weekend, but I expect the following one will be improved." An issue that Hamilton faced significant questioning about during the first 10 races of the season was the car's configuration. something many thought was going completely wrong on his part. Nevertheless, during the Montreal Grand Prix, the seven-time world champion held a firm conviction that the Ferrari 25 had been configured excellently for both him and Leclerc. So the responsibility for the 5th and 6th place finishes must be attributed to the team's strategic decisions. We should remember that it would have resulted in 6th and 7th place if not for the notorious accident involving Norris. Explaining this further, Hamilton stated, "We performed optimally with the configuration we possessed. We have been operating at maximum capacity throughout the weekend, attempting to make it faster, but I simply don't believe the car will achieve much greater speed. I absolutely don't believe we can match the competitors at the front, and we simply must acknowledge that this is our reality." It was always meant to be challenging for Hamilton to extend the limits of the Ferrari 25 and Ferrari, but ultimately I don't believe the circumstances will improve from this perspective. The engineers appear unwilling to consider the input that the drivers are providing, since internal reports indicate that Hamilton is dissatisfied with how the engineers are handling and applying their car feedback. This might become a significant problem for Ferrari going forward because if they are not implementing what the drivers instruct them regarding the car, then I don't believe there's much hope regarding competing for race victories and championships. So, what lies ahead for Hamilton? He clearly recognizes that 2025 represents a wasted season, and the only action he might take is attempting to familiarize himself with certain elements that will continue unchanged for 2026, such as the engine characteristics. However, conversely, we have not observed Hamilton in such a condition. He has been entirely unlike his usual character, and whether we appreciate it or not, Ferrari appears to represent the end of his career currently. Yes, he arrived here to secure victories and compete at the front, but at present, it appears he is performing for a team that has no understanding of what is flawed in their approach. Who ought to bear responsibility for this performance deficit? You are likely considering Fred Vasseur, and the Frenchman's position at Ferrari is anything but guaranteed. Although the speculation was discussed by Ferrari and was immediately rejected, there are specific media sources that believe Vasseur will experience significant pressure in the upcoming days. Additionally, the drivers' perspectives will not be dismissed either. Vasseur and Leclerc have become impatient with the car's potential not being maximized to its complete extent. Ferrari experienced numerous modifications regarding their team leader, and although Vasseur is viewed as an improvement over Binotto, the absence of results suggests differently. Many think that Fred might be sacrificed for his colleague's poor performance, but it remains Ferrari's decision to determine Vasseur's future. The method Ferrari handles their races is simply problematic, to put it mildly. You cannot place your driver in competition and fail to provide him adequate information or supply him with effective race strategy. That approach simply fails. While the pit stops have enhanced regarding speed, the poor decisions and questionable choices from the pit wall are undermining Ferrari's credibility to compete at the front. We must not overlook Leclerc's showing in Montreal and how it was damaged by the terrible approach employed by Ferrari. When informed that the team was evaluating Plan B, Leclerc responded that considering the tire performance, he was contemplating Plan C. It's very probable that Plan C included switching from the hard compound tire to the medium compound and subsequently another switch to a hard compound tire, identical to Norris. And we observed that Norris was competing for a podium result with Leclerc approximately 3 seconds behind him prior to the initial pit stops. The reality that the team summoned him and installed the hard tire once more, suggesting they will certainly stop again, demonstrates what is problematic with Ferrari. Picture Verstappen proposing his own approach and being refused by the team without being informed via radio. Even better, picture Verstappen sharing with Lambiase a perspective based on his track performance, and the team would completely disregard it and continue their approach. I don't expect the debriefing will be enjoyable if it occurs at Red Bull, but regarding Ferrari, it appears like a standard practice from this viewpoint. Considering all of this, what are your thoughts regarding Ferrari's performance with Hamilton and Leclerc extremely frustrated with the team's trajectory, and more significantly, Do you believe they should be transitioning toward 2026 as soon as possible? Share your thoughts in the comments section below, and after you do that, ensure you click on the video that shows up on your screen immediately.